Well, good morning, good day, good afternoon. Yay, this is Dr. Smith going to our second video in our series. This is reason number two. Reason number two, your home isn't selling. And that reason is because your realtor isn't generating enough listings. You say, wait a minute, he's not generating enough listings. What do you mean? Well, if you have a real estate agent that only has, like at the time when they're trying to sell your house is the only house that they have to sell, then I'm going to let you know that that is a problem. It's a problem because that means that that person does not have a system set up to generate listings. Okay. And a listing, just to make sure that everybody understands the same sheet of music, that means that you have decided to sell your home. You have contacted an agent probably before you're going to watch my video series here. And you signed that listing agreement, which means that you're on the hook for about 90 to 60 days. And hopefully you only did the 90 days. Because if things don't work, you don't want to be stuck with the same non-performing agent for 6 months. So this whole process is about you want to sell your home. Now, hopefully you're not in a desperate situation as a desperate seller, because if you are, you're not going to get the true value for your home. Your appraisal may be for $500,000, but because you're so desperate you want to sell, you'll go ahead and take $450,000. Now, this kind of brings me back to a little personal story for myself. My wife had died right before the pandemic because of lung cancer. And after that ordeal, then what happened was that the pandemic hit. And so I was sheltered in place by myself throughout the whole time for the pandemic. After the pandemic, when we started going back to school, that age of wearing masks all the time, I did that. And so I had met a young lady, which is right across the street, which is my neighbor, which is now currently my wife. But then we were both living in two homes. And finally, we had decided we weren't going to get married, but we decided that, hey, it didn't make sense to be having two mortgages and two homes and two utility payments and everything else, when over half the time we were at each other's houses. And so we decided to live together. And after that, then we decided to get married. Now, the reason I'm sharing with you is because I had bought my home and I thought was going to be my last home, and events changed, circumstances changed. Same thing for home prices during that time point. People were sheltered in place, so the real estate market went to hell. Okay, and it's been recovering, but we still have things like in our economy, things that are going on with the Iran war. Every time bombs are going on, and that information is getting out to the public, it makes it uneasy. The stock market is uneasy. Interest rates are uneasy. And as of yesterday, the interest rates just went up again. So what happens when the interest rate goes up? That means the amount of money that somebody is going to pay on a monthly basis is going to go up. Okay? So real estate is in flux. You have a physical life of a house that can last forever. In other words, how many times have you been driving around? I know for myself, because I've been living in the Hemet community, that I'm driving around the neighborhood and I'm seeing buildings that are no longer businesses. We have a Kmart that was right down the street, and that Kmart is no longer in business. I shopped at that over 20 years ago. Okay, but it went out of business. It's an empty building. So it has a physical life, but its economic life is done. Okay, the same thing on your home. There can be things that happen on the national wise or in the county. I live in California, so we've had the fires for Palisades and Altadena. You may have a physical property that you own, but a natural disaster can come as a fire, and that fire can come about, and all of a sudden your property's gone. We are having fires every day. We're in the middle of July of 2026 here in California, and they have been fires every single day. Matter of fact, in our neighborhood, just about a half a mile from here, is at a vacant field that lit on fire at the same time as the Palisades and Altadena fires. And this field was just lit up because it was a field that had been left to go out of control, having bushes and everything else. Someone threw a cigarette, and all of a sudden you got a fire. Okay, so it's important to understand that we buy our homes because we are actually looking for something in the future. A young family buys a home so that they have enough place to grow a family. But also part of that purchase of that home is because it's been proven to be one of the best investments that we can make and that you should try to make. Because when you pay rent, that rent money just goes to the landowner. It is giving them an asset. That is an asset that is producing income. It's not a liability. So most of us, when we buy a piece of real estate, it used to be years ago, and things change, that it used to be that owning a home was a great tax advantage because the majority of your payment in the very first, on a 30-year mortgage in the first 5 years is interest. And we were able to deduct that interest, mortgage interest, okay, as a tax deduction. So it was a great tax advantage to actually own a home because it could help you reduce your taxes, but at the same time, it could also help produce income. Why? Because in a home here in America is part of the American dream, but that home as a real estate, if you're buying it in a good location, etc., is that it has the opportunity to grow in value, which means while you're making your regular payments like you would have been rent, there's one big difference. As a renter, when you're paying your rent, you're making your landlord rich. Okay? Nothing is in it for you. But when you own a home and you're making your payments, okay, there's one other thing that's going on in the background. And that background is called a percentage of increase in value. Because when an appraiser is going to appraise the value of their home, he has to consider the future of what's going up. Because in the future, your home is probably going to go up in value. Okay, so with that in mind, let's kind of go ahead and kick it in. So this is reason number 2. Your home isn't selling. So, and this is so vital right now during this time point because interest rates just clicked up. And because interest rates just clicked up, guess what, sellers? This is not a seller's market. It's a buyer's market. So guess what? You need to wake up and understand that if your realtor is not, if you have the only listing, if you're the one or two listings that he has, that's probably not the agent that you're going to need to get in order to sell your house. So I'm telling you right now, in the future, that your home is going to sit for about 90 days. And then you're going to be looking for another agent thinking things are going to change. And that's exactly why I have and created this resource here. And it's all about home tips. Your home isn't selling. All right. So let's kind of get up into it. So we're going to talk about it. See, because most homeowners believe that selling a home begins when they hire a realtor. You know, but in reality, the best realtors will always begin earning your trust months or even years before you decide to actually buy or actually sell a house, to trust somebody, because it's a big financial decision. Okay. So reason number 2, and there's a lot, your realtor isn't generating enough leads. So the great realtors, they don't wait. They're not waiting for sellers to call them. They need to earn that trust long before. So if your home isn't selling, the issue may not be your home, not your price, or maybe even the market. Because even though the interest rate just clicked up to, as of yesterday, to 6.9%, guess what? There were homes sold yesterday. So it must be other factors. So, and it may be that your realtor doesn't have a proven system for consistently attracting sellers. Now, we're talking about attracting sellers. I know you're trying to sell your house, and this may seem counterproductive or just the inverse operation of something, but I'm saying if your home isn't selling, there may be another reason. Now, see, it may be that your realtor doesn't have a proven system for consistently attracting sellers and educating homeowners like I'm doing now, or building relationships long before a for sale sign goes in the yard. Now, as I prepare for my real estate career, I spent years studying marketing systems, artificial intelligence, education, consumer behavior, the research that led me to create what I call the Realtor AI Growth Assessment. Now, it's a tool that evaluates the critical areas that the average agents, from those who consistently grow their business. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, Jordan, you're not a real estate agent, so you don't know what you're talking about. So what is your background? So my background is that I went to the United States Naval Academy in 1972 to 1976. After being born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri for the first 18 years of my life, I decided I want to go out and see the world. So what I want to do, go out and pick and start to see the Navy. So I went to the Naval Academy and graduated. Then I went to the United States Marine Corps, served in Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm in 1990 to 1991. I'm also a disabled vet. Okay, disabled vet. After 20 years in the Marines and active duty and the reserves, I wound up drifting in the desert. I was a bartender. I was a karaoke host, doing all the things that were not consistent. But the big problem with those is that it didn't have benefits. So after then, I wound up teaching in the high school, public high school teaching mathematics, and wound up teaching computer science. In 2023, Amazon named me a Future Engineer Teacher of the Year. In 2026, they named me Amazon Future Engineer Teacher Ambassador. So after I wound up forced to retire because I had prostate cancer. And then the reason I still continued was that after I had to retire, I wound up carrying a big debt into my retirement, which is student loan debt. And a lot of teachers out there understand, because I had zero student loan debt in actually 2004. So a lot of us are burdened, and so we want to get rid of it. And so I actually started looking. But the one thing, because of my health, I did not want a regular job. I did not want to be commuting, going back and forth to work and everything else. I wanted to build something that I can work out of my home office and actually do that. So I wasn't hurting for money because I have income coming in. So I'm not like, as I'm starting to do this is sort of like a hobby, and this is where I'm at. So I need to let you know where I'm at. So, but I'm a doctor of education leadership. I have a master's in education. I have a master's in admin. I'm still connected with the education system, but I have learned. So my experience backgrounds from what I did 20 years in the Marines. I'm a homeowner. I bought homes. I've sold homes. So I got a personal experience from the homeowner perspective. And now I've been studying digital marketing. And as a result, I wanted to come up with my niche. And my niche that I chose was real estate. And I tried to work with a real estate agent, but it turned out that I needed to understand. So what I started doing was actually I started studying and doing research. So a doctor is this. I'm a problem solver. As a problem solver, I can actually solve a problem. You give me a problem, I'll give you a solution. I'll come up with it. So this is the best of both worlds. I'm enjoying myself now. I'm living. I'm using my brain. Yesterday, the old Captain Sully, the pilot that brought that plane down in New York, he actually has Alzheimer's. The same thing as Danny Glover announced that he has Alzheimer's. Well, I'm using my brain to keep my brain active, and this is where I'm at. So this is my pet project. I've decided at the age of 72 that I'm going to live to be 90. So how long do you want to live? How many homes are you going to own? I know I've kind of got off on a tangent and everything else, but that's okay. See, because I'm not doing these videos for everyone. I'm not trying to please everyone. And I realized that yesterday as I started to put into motion all the things that I'm going to be teaching here. The one thing happened. Someone told me, said, Jordan, when you start it and you're on the right track, you're going to know it because you're going to get friction. Okay. It's just like you said, you got to put some manure. You got to put some crap. You got to put some shit on it. So I had run a little ad and I had this guy. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. He doesn't like AI, and so he decided to take his frustration about AI out on me. Okay? Don't know what his problem is, don't know what his issue is. But he was saying, fuck this, and so yeah, I'm saying it too because I'm getting tired of it. Okay? And also I need to be real because I don't talk like someone that's actually going to church every week. Okay? And because I did that for 20 years, there's a big difference going in from the everyday talk in the Marines to going inside the classroom where you need to have a zipper over your mouth because you didn't have your rights when you went in. Okay, so anyway, through all of this, in my experience, at 72, I crafted what I call the Realtor AI Growth Assessment. And what it is a tool that evaluates 10 critical areas that separate the average agents from those who consistently grow their businesses. So what I did as a doctor, you gave me a problem. My problem was that I didn't want to get my license and want to be able to sell 1 to 2 houses a year because I attended a webinar, and in that webinar, it pulled up striking data concerning the average agent. And there may be 1.8 million real estate agents, but over 1 million of them are only selling 1 to 2 homes a year. I don't want to be that person. If I'm going to go in, I'm going to go all in. So I decided I wanted to be able to sell at least 1 to 2 houses. And my motivation is this. See, everybody needs to have their why. And my why is that I hate debt. I am fortunate enough to own a home that has 0 debt. Okay. And we don't like to have debt. But I still have the burden of my student loans that I'm paying over $1,200 a month. And I have the money to deal with it. That's fine. And they say right now with the current law that if I die, that it goes away. But I'm sorry, I don't trust politicians because they're going to change it for their benefits and not mine. Okay? So I know that. But I want to get rid of my student loans. And so how I'm going to do it is I've decided, I'm going to go ahead into real estate. I'm going to go ahead and make the $100,000 or so and pay off my student loans and then continue to take that money that I was paying for student loans and actually pay that money into a trust so that I can create a fund so my grandkids or great grandkids now are going to want to go to college, that they can have a college fund. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So if that fitting and if I bored you, okay, fine. If you left, you can click. That's okay. Because that means that my message is not for you. And I can't market to everyone. I want to be able to work with people which are like me. They have the same goals, the same driven message and everything else so that I can help them achieve their goals. So my whole mission is very simple, is that I'm going to go out here and I'm doing this video to build relationships so that you know who I am. that I'm going to be educating homeowners, because I didn't know everything when I first bought my first home, and I failed that task. Terrible. But the main reason also I'm going to continue to do these videos and do shorts as well is that I want to be staying top of mind for you doing the rest of my life. And the other thing I am good at, and it's not just here with real estate or whatever, I am a problem solver. I have been a mathematician. When I was in the Marines, I was a logistics officer. You came to me when you had a problem, and I am the one that's going to solve that problem, no matter what the environment or the other outlying conditions, because I'm going to do my analysis and my due diligence. And the thing is, I want to be able to do is by doing the videos and continually to do this on a consistent basis, I want to earn the listing of your home. I want to earn the listing of the home that you got now, so I can put into play the systems that I'm going to show you in these videos. That's making me different. Okay, that's making me different. So my motto, virtually, as you see, is to educate, serve, and earn trust. And most importantly, is to earn your listing, to earn that listing for sure. Okay, let's kind of go ahead on. Next. So your realtor isn't generating listings. If you see there in the diagram, you see the young lady there. She has social listings for leads, marketing, new leads, ads. They're all different systems. Okay. So many homeowners believe that selling a home begins when they hire a realtor. But the best realtors earn trust long before a for sale sign appears. So if your home isn't selling, the issue might very well be that your realtor's lack of a consistent system for attracting sellers and building relationships. So now many agents focus all of their energy on finding buyers. While buyers are important, listings are the engine that drives a successful real estate business. I'm going to say again, while buyers are important, listings are the engine that drives a successful real estate business. See, top producing listing agents understand something that many newer agents don't. People rarely wake up one morning and decide to sell their home that afternoon. Let me say that again. People rarely wake up one morning. Wake up. I just woke up. It's 5:30 in the morning and decide to sell their homes. This is not something that people just say, "Oop, boom, I'm going to sell my home." No. Is that there are other factors, either in the economy or right where they're living or about their job or about the schools, etc. Other outside forces around their home that have made them come to that conclusion when they did their own analysis about their own situation. And then they decided that they need to move or sell the house. But then when you decide to sell your home, you know that you got to live somewhere. So me and my wife were actually thinking about trying to look at homes which are over in Orange County. We're actually here in Riverside County, California. And we both moved here for different reasons, but really the central thing was because we were downsizing, but not necessarily that. We moved here in our area because we wanted more. We wanted to get more for our money. Okay. In Mission Viejo, where a lot of her family is in Orange County, a house which is 1,100 square feet is about $1.5 million. $1.5 million. Well, this house that I'm living in right now has 1,800 square feet. It's on a lot that's 5,600 square feet. The lot for the house, which is the 1 million, are sitting on a lot that's about 2,700 square feet. So this has double the size, but the price is only about 500,000, 1/3 the price. Okay, 1/3 the price. So if we were thinking about selling our home, but the one difference is if we sold our home to move to Orange County, to buy one of those homes, which is going to be smaller than the one that we got now. The other big problem is currently we have no mortgage. If we move to a home that had the 1.5, even taking the 400, then we're going to have a mortgage of about like $6,000. Now, the problem with that is that we're in our 70 plus. I'm 72. And here's the whole big concern that I need to look at is that in our life that we had to look at our finances is this. If I die, the question is my wife, Carolyn, going to be okay? Does she have, because see, she's going to lose income. She's going to lose my Social Security. She's going to lose my VA income that's coming in. That money is gone. So she needs to be able to survive off of her Social Security check. So if we move to Orange County, even though it would be great to be around our neighbors and stuff, financially, it doesn't make sense because if we do and I die, she won't be able to afford the house and she's going to be forced to sell. Okay. So as we know right now, we don't just wake up and decide about selling a house. So, and most homeowners also spend months researching questions like, should I sell now or wait? Or how much is my home worth? Or should I remodel before listing? Is it now a good time? The interest rates just went up. Or really, for us, over 70. Is this a good time to downsize? We live in a 55 and older HOA community. We have people leave because they die, or they get sick, or they get Alzheimer's, or one spouse dies and they're by themselves. The good question is, what happens if I still have a mortgage? Okay. The other question is, what are the tax implications for selling your home? And the other big question is, where will I move next? See, the realtor who consistently answers those questions, okay, those questions, becomes the trusted expert long before the listing appointment. Okay? If you're constantly answering those questions, okay, then you can earn someone's business before they decide to actually list their home. Okay? Before they decide to list their home. So, people need to understand that proactive. Top agents understand that people rarely decide they sell their home overnight. It's a process. It's research. It's deliberation. And homeowners may spend months researching. Should I sell now, or how much is my home worth, or should I just wait? And the realtor who consistently answers those questions becomes the trusted expert long before the listing appointment. And so by the time a homeowner is ready to sell, trust has already been firmly established. Firmly established. See, if you're buying, when you buy your first home, but when you're going to sell, who are you going to go to? Well, hopefully if you had a good relationship with the agent who helped you buy that house, you'll call that agent first to be top of mind if they've done their business and they have a proactive listing generation. They should still be communicating with you long after they have sold you the house and cashed their damn first commission check. Because if they are, then the money is in that relationship and the money is in that list. Okay. So, but how do you build that trust? See, the most successful listing agents, they don't simply advertise. They educate. And education is something that builds trust. And the trust creates relationships. And relationships generate listings. So instead of waiting for homeowners to contact them, they provide valuable resources that can help people make informed decisions throughout the selling process. That include home seller guides, market update videos, home valuation resources, downsizing checklists, community guides, educational webinars, local market reports, tax and moving checklists. See, by consistently delivering valuable information, these realtors become the first person homeowners think about when it's finally time to sell. That's why I'm creating these videos. These videos that I'm doing is in preparation for my real estate career. See, I don't have my license. I am an agent that's in training right now. But in 6 to 8 weeks, I will have my license. So I'm building a relationship. So everything I'm speaking about here, I'm actually doing because I know that it takes time. Because the one thing that you should get from this episode is to realize that people just don't wake up out of the blue and decide to sell their home. And when they do, and if they do, the question is, who are they going to call? It's almost like that slogan from the Ghostbusters. I watched the Ghostbusters years ago in that song. Who are you going to call? That's what I want to know. See, because the future is calling. But I know that by consistently delivering valuable information, I want to become that first person that homeowners think about when it's finally time to sell. And I'm not going to try to reach out to everybody. I don't want everybody. I honestly don't need everybody. I want to talk and actually work and earn and build trust with people that are like me that have had the same experience. And at 72, you may be thinking, is that too late? No. See, I can understand what it was to be young. I understand what it was to rent a home and just waste and blow through money. I understand what it is to serve our country because I served it for over 20 years. I understand what it feels like when you don't have a good job, when you don't have a good family benefits, and how you have to start over. I understand what it felt like with not having student loans. I understand what it is to be burdened with student loans and be forced to go ahead and get those loans in order to have a job. Okay. And that job was doing a service. I understand what it is to raise teenagers and the transition that goes through their mindset when you're trying to do things. I understand how to help someone that is only face failure in their life because I did it for 20 years in the classroom. I worked with students that had given up on learning. I understand what it is about and understand when someone in your family gets a deadly disease and has cancer, and every day of your life for 2 years, the person that you love, the person that you care for, your best friend disappears in front of you every single day slowly. And every day that they disappear, a part of you is gone and you will never be the same. I understand what that is. I also understand what it is to go through the pandemic and to be by yourself and to be a senior citizen. I understand because I had to live to a 55 and move to a 55. Why did I move to a 55? Because I wanted to move to a location where my kids could not come and live with me. Now that may be cruel, but that's why I moved to 55 and older. I understand what it is about living in a community that has an HOA. I actually served on the HOA board. I actually understand what it is to deal with cancer themselves because I am a prostate cancer survivor. So I understand when you're getting to a certain age that you have to think about what happens when one of us dies. Who is going to take care of me? If I don't answer those questions and do the research on it now, I walk into it blind like millions of people are doing now. So, as I said, with some of you, I still have you listening. If you're listening, then we are on the same sheet of music. Not 100%, but hopefully I'm letting you understand that I'm the person that you want to be able to have. Okay, so now let's kind of go into this now. Now we understand that we have to build that relationship. And once you build that relationship is gold. My agent, Connie, she found our home in this 55 and older community. She was top of mind because she has stayed in communication with me. And then when I decided to sell my home, she was the first person that I called. And then she helped me sell my home when my home listed, and my home sold in 7 days. Now, there were a lot of things that was going on that I learned through that experience that I did to prepare my home for selling. That's my personal experience. And I do remember a conversation I had with one of my neighbors. He thought that I had priced my home too low, and he wanted me to raise it up. And he also wanted me to use Redfin, which is sort of another agency out there, because they were doing a lower commission. But see, I had learned a valuable lesson in my life that I found out. I've never been disappointed for paying too much for an item. I have wasted money paying too little. And that's my life experience. Now, there were a house, I was at the point in time, I sold my house for like $365,000. But here's the thing. I bought it for $180,000. So my home had increased in value over $100,000. So his recommendation was for me to sell my home for like $405,000. And I decided no, but there was a reason. See, I didn't have to move at the time point, but I wanted to move. And the market was kind of in flux. So I much wanted to sell my home and get the cash out instead of waiting on being greedy for another $40,000. Now, there was a home that sold for over $40,000, and that is important. The question is why? And now here's the big thing I realized. See, as I'm going through this real estate course, a lot of things are making sense. There were documents that I had signed that I had no foggy idea what I was signing, because the only thing I cared about was how much money I was going to have to pay per month. And I wanted that house. That was it. That was the only thing that counted. But there were a lot of things on that in those documents, those legal terms and everything else that I've had in my lifetime concerning buying or even renting an apartment or a lease and everything. All these things. See, every American is connected to real estate, but yet very few of us understand it. The legal side, everything, all the jargon, all the terms, everything else. Right now I'm studying about appraisals and how, boy, I was just thinking what they were doing for appraisals is totally different. Okay. So, but what we need to understand is that there are 5 questions that when we decide to list. So if you're doing this the first time, if you've been everything else, and I'm going to cut this into a short, you need to understand, you need to listen. If you're a first time home buyer, you need to listen to this. Okay. And we're going to talk about getting you there, because a lot of you want to jump to try to buy a house and ain't got a damn penny in the bank, but you don't have to have it all. Okay. You don't have to have it all. See, I didn't realize that when I went to buy a home that how much money I needed to have down. You're going to need to have cash, but you need to understand how much you're going to need. And the way that you understand that is through education. And I want you to make sure that you subscribe and listen to my channel, because I'm going to provide you that information from my point of view as a veteran, as a teacher, and as a retiree. I'm going to provide it to you from that point of view. Okay, so interviewing your agent. You need to understand there's 5 questions. 5 questions that every homeowner should ask before hiring a listing agent. And we're going to talk about those now. The very first one is, how do you consistently generate listing appointments and meet homeowners before they are ready to sell? Now, I guarantee you, I'm probably going to have to post this out on these 5 questions. I think it's probably be good. 5 questions that you need to use. And here's the first one. How do you consistently generate listings, appointments, and meet homeowners before they're ready to sell? I can go out onto Zoom, or go out, not really to Zoom, on Zillow, and type in an agent's name and find out how many homes they have sold. And also look on there to see how many homes they have on a listing. So if someone's thinking about it, that's one way that you can go ahead and do it. But if you're on an appointment, they're over to your home, and sometimes that's exactly what it is. We hold appointments for listings. is that we want to ask them. So here's the thing. A successful realtor should have a repeatable process for meeting homeowners before they're ready to sell. Okay? Before they're ready to sell. See, if their only answer is virtually from referrals, we need to ask, well, what if the referrals slow down? Here's one that's just current. What happened when interest rates go up? How are you going to find people? Or really, how do you want to meet homeowners before they're ready to sell? So we need a diversified marketing strategy that creates consistent opportunities. And the more I think about having a particular niche on homes, I'm living the 55 plus area now. I'm living 55 plus because I'm 72 years old. I could probably connect more with those. I have wisdom and experience. But even my three sons don't even ask me for crap. Okay? Because they're grown men and they like to make their own decisions. They think they know it all. But it turns out that sometimes they can ask for a little wisdom. But the main question is that, okay, so how are you going to meet people ready to sell? So that is the marketing strategy that they need to have. So they need to explain that to you. Okay, question number 2. How do you stay connected with homeowners over time, even before they're ready to list their property? So how do you meet? So that's a good question. So these videos that I'm doing, everyone that views these videos is a person who I don't know. And they're going to either have a positive impression or a negative impression of watching the video. That's if they watch it all. If they watch the whole video all the way through my series, they're going to learn a lot, but they're also going to learn a lot about me. But then this next question is, well, how do you stay connected with people? So now I have someone that watches my videos, but how do I stay in contact with them? Well, I'm going to need some contact information. And so I can either do it manually by calling them, or I can do it with automation. And in today's world with AI, you can automate this. So you're not talking about let's say you have a listing over time that currently you have a listing that's maybe over 1,000 leads. Are you contacting all 1,000 of those folks on a consistent basis? How do you do it on a consistent basis? Well, you could put it on your calendar, and every day or every Friday, you're going to go ahead and make phone calls. That's exactly how real estate agents were doing it. Or the other thing is, we used to get little mailers in the mail once a month. Well, I had this one lady that for over 2 years, she was the second person that is actually was top of mind when I decided to sell. See, my previous agent who I already built a trust relationship was the first person I called. The second person that was on my list to call was this other real estate lady who I did not know, but was sending a mailer to me every single month. It was like Zig Ziglar. Okay. I'm pretty sure that she probably got some sales. Well, I don't know, because all of a sudden about a year ago, her mailers stopped. Now, it could be the money, because we're talking about dropping stuff in the U.S. Postal Service. But email is still free. Now, text messages, commercial-wise, when you're sending out messages, it's going to cost you money, unless you're using your own phone number. Okay. So, but how do you stay connected? This is a question you need to ask them. How are they staying connected with homeowners over time, so that even before they're ready to list their property? Because the property that they're listing, if you have a niche, okay, let's talk about why your real estate agent needs to have a niche. Okay. If I'm in a 55 and older community, I want to have a real estate agent that specializes in 55 older, that has a system that is trying to get people a listing, and also that has a system that is communicating over time with those people which are 55 and older that also happen to like an HOA. Because that means when they list my property, they immediately can go ahead and send a list out. Okay, so let's go ahead and do something, a connected, that I know that this works as I've done the research, because for at least the last 5 years, every single day, me and my wife watch HGTV. And we watch those shows where people are they're buying homes, they're renovating, and they're reselling the homes. I've seen the Property Brothers, but the one that I really like is the one with the two twins, and one of the twins is sick, and so their show has not been on the air. So my prayers go out for them. But in her show, there was two twins up in the Pacific Northwest. One's a real estate agent, and the other one is a designer. And what they do is that they go to unsellable homes. In other words, they look at someone like I'm looking right now. I have a neighbor here that they're selling their home, and that home had actually been up for sale once on a listing and didn't sell. It's up for listing again. I saw you got a new agent, then they do a open house, and you got 2 or 3 folks coming up in there, and then they just waiting for people to call. That's what they're doing. And as a result, this house right now has been on the market for day 73. Day 73, they've been on the market. Now, just from what I know from not my real estate course, but because of my real estate course is educating me of thinking on a real estate agent about what I can do and what I cannot do. But one of the things, I'm actually being more observant. It's just like the whole thing. Your microwave goes out, you're not looking at it. All of a sudden, every ad that you're looking in the paper or whatever, all of a sudden microwaves are there. You go on Amazon, you look for a microwave, and everywhere you look now is a microwave. The same thing as far as with selling homes. Since I'm now dealing with real estate, I wasn't interested in it. But now, since I made the decision of being a real estate agent and going into real estate and using my experience and wisdom concerning with digital marketing and now focusing specifically on real estate, now I look at different things. So now every day I've been looking at Zillow when the homes go up, and then I realize I'm in a community that has over 100 plus potential buyers or sellers. Because they're getting old, we're aging, they're either going to downsize or they're going to die, and then the younger folks are going to come in and want to sell those homes. And I'm living in that community where I get firsthand when I'm seeing these homes and stuff go up, because I know where they are and I know the ins and outs. And as I have been going through this course and doing this series, I realized some very important things. I know what these agents are doing wrong. Okay. And I know that these agents, on my assessment that I have, there's Realtor AI growth assessment that I have, that they will score way below 55. And so therefore they would not qualify in order to be my listing agent. Okay. So question number 1 was, how do you consistently generate listing appointments and meet homeowners before they're ready to sell? Because they don't just wake up in the morning and decide to sell their fucking home. So how do you stay connected with homeowners over time, even before they're ready to list their property? If you're not communicating and building a list constantly or exposing yourself, then you don't have anybody to send a listing to. When you list the property, you need to find a buyer. And your buyer, or some of those buyers, are people which are maybe thinking about selling their home and moving. See, one of the common threads inside my 55 and older community, and I mentioned about the price difference, 1.5 million versus 500,000 here, is that people found this by luck. But here is a golden nugget in this community. If you live, because personally, if I lived in Mission Viejo, yeah, it's a nice place. But if I lived there in 1,100 square foot and my house was worth the 1.5 million, I would sell that home. I would sell that home. And then I would find a home like the home I got to pay 500,000. Hey, I would even maybe pay 600,000, and people will think that's crazy. No, why? because they're cash rich when they come in from those homes. They can afford to pay the extra premium price in this place. So because they're not going to have a mortgage. They're not going to have a mortgage. So since they're not going to have a mortgage, they don't care about paying the extra money. This is not about extra paying the interest for a tax return savings. This is talking about security. See, when you own your own home, you have security. See, because if I die tomorrow, I'm not worried because my wife doesn't have a mortgage payment. That is peace of mind. Peace of mind. So there we go. Question number 3. Okay. Question number 3 is, what educational resources do you provide to help homeowners make informed decisions throughout the selling process? Hey, what do you think this video series is about? This is an educational resource that is designed to provide and help homeowners make informed decisions about the selling process. That's what this is. And how do I do that? Is by doing YouTube videos, because people go to YouTube when they want to find information. And I'm building a whole video series. And the video series are long videos like this video. And then it's broken down into short videos. So short little nuggets. This is how. So the question is, if you have an agent, what educational resources do they provide to help homeowners make informed decisions throughout the selling process? If they don't, that's the wrong agent for you. Question number 4, how do you follow up with past clients and previous seller leads to nurture long-term relationships? I'll read it again. Number 4, how do you follow up with past clients and previous seller leads to nurture long-term relationships? Are you sending out postcards? Are you sending out email? Are you sending out text messages? Are you doing phone calls? How are you doing it? And the question is, are you doing it? Or do you have a plan to do that? Are you using now social media? Because when I bought my homes, it's just like even thinking back here on the short time, the 20 years, how long the internet has been up and out and it wasn't available. Or how about our cell phones? If we were over in Europe, the number one way to communicate with people is on what we call the WhatsApp. Nearly 80 to 90% of communications on it because it's a secure app. Not so sure here in the United States. It is growing. Okay. But the question is, how do you follow up? This is a question you need to ask. They need to be able to tell you exactly how they are following up with past clients. Because if they're going to list your home, the first thing they need to do is send out communication. And how many times do they need to send that communication out to their list? If you do it by email, you're not going to get everybody. SMS texting, but it does cost money. But on the other hand, let's look at it. Every time, how much is an agent? Here in the Inland Empire, the average home price is $430,000 at a 3% commission. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, I like to do this. Let's go ahead and look at this on a commission basis. So if I got $430,000, and I'm going to say if I'm buying the house or if I'm going to sell the house or I'm going to list it for you, my commission is actually 0.03. But if you got a brokerage, he's going to take his cut. So roughly $9,000. $9,000 on the commission. Okay, so from my digital marketing experience of dealing with Facebook ads and everything else, if I know that I'm going to get $9,000 when I sell this home, I'm in business. How much money are you willing to invest in order to get? Are you going to just wait? You need to be proactive in your methods. You need to have a system that allows you to communicate in multiple channels. That's how you follow up. My very first thing that I intend to do for my homeowners is that as soon as I get their listing, and currently right now I have built a list of 9,353 people. Now, they're not all here in California, but the vast majority of them are, because I built that list by being a teacher. Okay, going to conferences here in California. Some have been in Seattle. I have some that are in New Orleans. There have been a couple of out of town places, but the vast majority are here in California. And because I'm still doing those type of presentations every single year. So the first thing I'm going to do, because I have phone numbers, is that I'm going to send a text message out. And that text message says, "Hi, this is Jordan. I have a new listing. If you're interested, a sweet deal of a house. It's in a great 55 and older community. It's nice and quiet, and you won't believe the price." And I'll send that text message out. And then I'm going to add them to my automation system. I have an automation sequence software. And then what it's going to do is going to be a listing sequence. And what that listing sequence is that it's going to send them out an email every week telling you a little bit more about this house, this neighborhood, the schools, etc. And it's going out every week. Now, I'm not doing this on my phone, but some I'll actually go ahead and make phone calls on my list. But now, I used to do that, thinking about doing it manually, but now with technology and AI, guess what? I don't have to do that because I have a voice AI agent. And when I put it into the listing, it's going to call out to talk to them. And when they answer back, because I have a voice AI agent, the agent is going to interact with them to get them to do what? To call me and to set up an appointment so that I can actually show them the house. That's why you need automation in the tools and AI. See, AI is not replacing the agent. AI is facilitating to help you be more efficient if you understand the overall picture. Number five, question number 5 on interviewing your listing agent. What makes your listing marketing strategy unique, different from other agents, beyond what we call the standard practices? What makes your listing strategy different? Now, so every realtor can place your home in MLS, multiple listing service. Every realtor can hire a photographer to take pictures on the inside of your home. Every realtor can hold an open house. Yeah, they could do that. But the better question is, what makes your marketing system different? You know, they need to be able to, can they explain to you their digital marketing strategy? Because we're in 2026. You're in 2026. See, everybody else can do an MLS. They can hire a photographer to go and take the pictures. They can do an open house. I've seen that. I see it in the community. I can go out here walking, and I know that's happening because you got a real estate sign in your front lawn that says, "Hey, I have a real estate agent. I'm in the system, and I've done an open house." That's exactly what that sign says on the out. And that sign collects dust afterwards every single day as the days continue to click. But can they explain their digital marketing strategy? Can they explain their video marketing plan? Yes, video marketing plan. Why? Because a picture is worth 1,000 words. And in 2026, in 2026, it's the video. Have you heard of TikTok? TikTok and short form videos. People want to see the video, okay, of it. Now, going back to the unsellable houses, what these two ladies did was that they found a home that was on the listing, and they watched and they waited for the ones, just like the ones down here down the street, that's been on the market for 70, 80, 90 days, and they're waiting for that 90th day for that home to expire. But they probably call them about like now. You have a homeowner who's had their home up for sale, and now it's been 2 months, and they haven't sold. So they both are asking, and they're prime ready for someone calling them and saying, I see that your home has been on the market for the last 60 days. And for me, what I probably say, I've come up with this thing called the Realtor assessment. And as I'm thinking about this now, I'm going to do that exactly. I want you to go ahead and take this test. And for them to take that test, I thought it was great. And now the other thing I just thought about as a great idea is that I need to have this in English or Spanish. Wow. Definitely need that. So wouldn't it be great? I called them up. I see your house has been selling. And I'm interested about earning your trust and maybe getting the listing, but I need to show you that I'm different. So what I would like to do, with your permission, is send you a link for an assessment that I've created so that I can understand what your current situation is, because I don't want to make those same mistakes. If that would be okay with you, I'd like to send this link to. So they're either going to say yes or no. And what they did, that is sort of like that's my new version of unsellable houses. And I'm just thinking about it. I can do that all day long. All I got to do is go to Zillow. All I got to do is go to Zillow and actually do that to get the people. Okay. Wow. See, I love that. I would not have come up with that brainstorm of an idea if it wasn't for these questions. But the big question is, so what makes their marketing strategy uniquely different? And I just gave you an example of one of the things that I will do with my clients is because I have a system which is set up to do all of the 5 things on here. And what makes mine unique is that it works because I have an AI follow-up system. I have email campaigns. As I mentioned, I have a list that's growing. So I will be sending out text messages to the people who I have the phone numbers. I will be sending out emails to over 10,000 people every time I list the home. And it's dual purpose. They may not be in this area. They may actually be, some of them may be out of state, but they're getting the listing. And as long as I'm providing value on my emails and value in my YouTube videos and stuff, they are going to be part of my audience. And it may not be the right time. They may not be interested in buying a house today. But if I'm in communication with them from here on out, I'm going to be top of mind. So they may know somebody who needs to buy that house. So hopefully understand that it's important for you to interview your listing agent. And that everyone, that there are all these questions again. Okay, so how do you consistently generate listing appointments and meet homeowners before they're ready to sell? Number 2, how do you stay connected with homeowners over time, even before they're ready to list their property? Number 3, what educational resources do you provide to help homeowners make informed decisions without the selling process? Question number 4, how do you follow up with past clients and previous sellers' leads to nurture long-term relationships? And number 5, the granddaddy of all, what makes your listing marketing strategy uniquely different from other agents beyond those 3 standards? They can all list it. They can all take pictures. They can all do an open house. But what next? What next? So we need to understand that there is power in specialization. See, I was retired Marine, had 2 decades as a teacher. But see, one of the biggest mistakes that new realtors make is trying to market to everyone. See, the truth is, people trust specialists. See, as I prepare to launch my own real estate business, I'm focusing on 3 communities where my life experience provides immediate credibility. Veterans. As a retired Marine Corps officer, I understand VA loans, military relocations, PCS moves, retirement transitions, service-connected disabilities, and veteran housing benefits. These experience allows me to answer questions that many homeowners have before they ever decide to sell. First-time home buyers and teachers. After 2 decades in education, I understand teachers. I know their schedules. I understand what school districts are about. I understand retirement systems. I understand the financial challenges that many first-time buyers face because I've been there. And that experience will allow me to create trust and the 55 and older community. See, this niche is especially personal for me now. As the president of the HOA in a 55 older community, I have worked with homeowners facing some of the biggest transitions. See, questions about downsizing, aging in place, HOA living, assisted living, estate planning, family transitions. See, these aren't simply real estate questions. They're life decisions. And helping homeowners navigate those decisions requires education, empathy, and experience. Now, what about AI? So how does artificial intelligence strengthen relationships? See, artificial intelligence isn't replacing realtors. It's helping them build stronger relationships. And modern AI systems can respond instantly to homeowner questions. Now, how does that happen? I have a voice AI agent that I have a number. When someone calls my number, like on my Teach, Lead, and Expire Facebook page, if you call that number, you will get an answer and you will be able to talk to my voice AI agent if I do not pick up the phone. You will be able to converse or ask questions because I have built up a knowledge base that my voice AI agent is an expert on real estate. And so it's able to answer different questions in general, just for the curiosity of people. It's helping them build stronger relationships because I can go ahead and send email. I can send text. I can send links to my YouTube videos like this. But a modern AI system can help me respond instantly to homeowner questions, send educational resources automatically, and schedule appointments. It also can help me deliver market updates. Like whenever the market goes, if I have a list of people I've been building relationships to, one of the most important things. And I know our President Trump, someone had asked him about the housing market. And his answer was that I've been around real estate a long time. He says the only thing that really matters is the interest rate. You lower the interest rate, the housing will boom. And I will have to admit that that is so true. Okay. But if people are struggling to pay for things in advance, they're also going to need a down payment. So the interest rate can go all the way down to 1%. But if you don't know where to get a loan and how much money you're going to need to save, so the very first thing, realize with first-time home buyers, they need to understand your first thing that you need to do is that you need to develop a habit of saving every single month. You need to know how to lower your debt and have more cash. But those are topics for another one. The main thing is to understand this. We want to be able to deliver communication and follow up consistently, not for months, but years. And also, we want to ensure that no homeowner is forgotten. See, everyone that has bought a home from me or helped me to sell their home or for me to help them buy a home, I consider you to be a client. That means I will be a part of your life for the rest of mine. And right now I'm 72, but I'm in good health and I'm in good health and I'm staying in good health because I have a mission. So the big question is, as we go down here, is that what are the next steps? So if you're a homeowner or a realtor, here's your challenge in your work for this week. Is that before hiring your next listing agent, ask the 5 questions. from this article. Now you can actually go to teachleadandinspire.com/blog, and I'll put this inside the description. If you go to the blog, you can pull this up and you can get the questions and see a summary of this episode. Okay. And before hiring your next listing agent, you need to ask 5 questions. And their answers may tell you more than their marketing brochure ever will. Now, for realtors, you need to do this. This is your homework. You're going to choose one target market that you enjoy serving. One target market that you enjoy serving. And then you're going to ask yourself these questions. Who do I enjoy serving? What questions do they ask? What challenges do they face? What educational resource could I create this week? So, we don't begin with advertising. We begin with education. Because education builds trust. Trust builds relationships. Relationships generate listings. Generates listings. So, in the next blog article and in the next video, we're going to discuss reason number 3 that your home isn't selling. And reason number 3 is that, do you have an online presence that isn't building trust? Your online presence isn't building trust. So today's homeowners research agents online long before making a phone call. So we're going to explore how your website, your Google business profile, your YouTube channel, your reviews, and educational center or educational content will influence whether homeowners choose you or your competition. And as I said, this is a work in progress. I'm actually doing these videos that's helping to reinforce my plan of action that I need to take. But also at the same time, I'm learning. Because before I do reason number 3 in the next video, I need to make sure I go ahead and check out things called this Google business profile. What the heck is that? YouTube channel, I got that. How about reviews? I need to work on that. Educational content, I think I'm creating it here. So I also invite you to take the free Realtor AI growth assessment. This is a good starting point. So if you're a realtor, discover how your business scores across the 10 critical growth areas that separate average agents from top producers. Receive personalized recommendations to improve your lead generation, list generation, marketing, AI implementation, client experience, and long-term business growth. If you're a homeowner, use the questions in this article to evaluate potential listing agents and choose someone with a proven marketing system, like me. Not just someone who promises to put your home in the MLS. Now, I am an agent in progress, working and studying, but at the same time, I'm building a business. And I'm hopefully that you will go ahead and pay attention and join me on the next video, video 3, because I'm going to prove to you and show you, since I'm from Missouri, that I'm different. So I am a modern real estate professional for 2026. And I am proud to say that I use AI because it's going to save me time. It's going to help me help my clients like you, which are listening. And it's going to allow me to do things that I never thought of before. And this is Dr. Smith. And I hope you enjoyed this. So understand this, because great realtors don't wait for listings. They earn them through education, trust, and consistent relationships. This is Dr. Smith. Thank you for listening.